somebody pops in here. That we'll have a recorded form. And we're going to look at this leadership training a little different than probably just learning more about what your job titles are. But I want you to think about some things, and I hope you can take some of this back to your workplace with you. And so I want you to think about Rotary as a business. And so what is that business? What are we selling? What are we delivering? So is that a product? It would be if we deliver a shelter box, or we buy food for a food bank, or work on some different projects like that. But we're also service, right? And Chuck mentioned earlier, we were talking here about connecting people with service and getting them hooked on Rotary by touching their hearts out there. And in a lot of cases, we're a combination of the two. So we have a product and we have a service, and we supply both. So we got people's talents, expertise, and finances, and a product that we deliver out there. So that's really part of what our businesses are. And so in customer service, you need to take a look at who your customers are, because each of us, and you as leaders in the district here, have customers out there. Obviously, some are internal customers. So it's those almost 2,000 Rotarians in our district are your customers. The club leadership team are your customers. And your goal is to make the clubs and the Rotarians in the clubs successful in what they do as district leaders. Certainly here as different chairs, the district governor is a customer of yours. So Dan likes being a customer, but he also likes having customers out there as well. And you add more people on your committees. Each one of those committee members are your customers. You're helping get the best out of them, work together to either grow membership, work on service. Youth has a variety of chairs underneath Mary Helen and Charles, and for the different youth programs we have. And the foundation, of course, we've got the giving side and the spending side, and a good group of committee members there. And of course, assistant governors. And I want each of you to think about assistant governors, and Nyron's executive AG here, and so he's got a full team there as your customers. And how do you connect with them to help that them become successful in their job, connecting with the clubs. So Myra's out there, and she's in charge of a golf tournament. And so she'll be working through Nyron and the assistant governors to work with the clubs, reach out there, as well as the presidents of the clubs and leadership teams. And so then also, besides our internal customers, we're a business here, we have external customers. And so all those students that are in Interact that we send to Pride and Ryla, they're our customers. The ones that earn a scholarship, the ones that participate in the 4-way test speech competition or music competition, they really are our customers. And external customers are their parents as well. They see Rotary through their children, through their sons and daughters that are experiencing this through Rotary. That's how they view Rotary. And so our goal here is to really show them the best example of what Rotary is. And so that's one of the things I want you to think about. And also on the community members. A lot of times you do things in your community, you're involved with not just Rotarians out there, but the leadership in the cities, the businesses in the cities. Some of them are donating to your cause to help your clubs out, and donating to Rotary and participating. Dan mentioned about the golf tournament coming up, and certainly he's saluting and thanking those folks that have sacrificed out there in our communities, the first responders, since it's coming up on the anniversary of 9/11. And of course, international Rotarians. And so why International Rotarians? Because as we connect, I think Charles James might be coming on here. As we connect on international service projects and international projects and global grants, we connect with Rotarians around the world. So how we work together makes
any of my brothers and sisters, but I have been good to all of them.
Maybe that's Charles. There he is. Okay, customer care. And I want you to think about this in a variety of ways. And in your own business, you think about what it costs to acquire a new customer, what you're investing in. If you had a business and you wanted to get one more customer in your grocery store, what ads, what would encourage them to come in your store and you could keep them long term? Or an Ace Hardware, or in this case, Rotary. We want them to be a member of a club, member of our district. And so what's that cost and investment to take to do that? And then what's the cost in our clubs to retain that new member? That's all a piece of customer care. And so like our care programs that we do with members, membership care, deals with how retaining a customer, make sure that that example, that event is good for them. As well as if you're leading an area here and you want to retain that customer, a good experience at a district conference, at any get together we have is retaining that customer. Working together on service projects between clubs within your city. So that customer care is getting them engaged. You're providing a service to them, and they have to have value. So if you have customers, in this case, members, let's say, that come into Rotary in your club, and if your membership chair or your other service chairs, you want to provide value for them. What value do they have to join any one of our 60 some Rotary clubs? What's that value added? So I want you to begin to think about some of these things. Some of this I've pulled together from my 30 years at the Kroger Company in the supermarket trade. And if you get the book Good to Great, they'll have a story in there about Kroger and how they went from good to great. And they had 4 examples on that, 4 areas that they wanted to help people improve in. First, our people are great. That meant that it could be a janitor sweeping the floor, the front end cashier, the person that stocks the shelves, the person behind the meat market stopping the produce, somebody that's running the IT in your company. Everyone is useful and they're great. They're not good. You have the greatest people that work with you. And the same should be true of the team that you put together. NYRA's team of AGs should be great people that are there for a reason, to serve customer care for the clubs that they service, right? Our prices are good. Our goal was always that you didn't have to have the low price on every item in the grocery store, but you had to have prices that weren't outrageous, so people wouldn't drive past your store or spend more on gas to go to a competition down the road. And so our prices are good. We don't want them to go past our Rotary Club and go to another humanitarian organization or a different organization. We want them in Rotary. And so we need to make sure that we have prices are good. They don't have to be the lowest to be members, but there has to be value to what you spend, value to the friendships and relationships, value to the service you perform. And so those prices have to be good. You get what you want and a little more. So if you went into a grocery store to buy a cake, well, they also have birthday candles. They're going to decorate it and put a name on it for you. You could go to the meat market and you wouldn't just get a chunk of meat. You'd also they'd tell you how to prepare it, what else, other foods ought to go with it, and help you get a recipe on it. And so you could get everything at a one-stop shop. You go in for a birthday, you could get the cake, you get the candles, get balloons, get cards. get the full dinner, right? So you get what you want and a little more. You expected to come to a Rotary Club to meet members and do some service work. And what you found out is you developed lifelong friendships. You were able to connect with leaders in your community from that, and grow the good out there. You maybe didn't know that you could work with youth at a camp when you first came on, but those things changed your life. And that experience makes you want to return. So that in a grocery store, that final person that checks you out and thanks you and greets you in some cases by name makes that experience want to come back the next time. They help you carry your groceries out to your car and put them in the back seat or put them in the trunk. And what do we do? That experience in our club. When somebody's come to your club meeting before they go home, do they feel extra special and they want to come back the next week? And so what is that experience that makes me want to stay in Rotary, stay in our district, stay in your club? And so each of you as chairs are delivering on that experience. And so part of those skills in reading your members, reading your committee members, reading the AGs and the different club members out there is your ability to understand what their needs are. Talk with them, ask them questions, understand more about them. Also, as we've learned from COVID here, you need to be able to handle surprises. Things come up, and have you got a backup scheme for this? It's sort of like having a Zoom meeting and the person on the other end is going to do the slideshow, but they can't get their slides launched. So have them email you the slide deck ahead of time. So if theirs doesn't work, you can load it up for them. If you're meeting, your regular meeting at a certain place and all of a sudden something happens at that restaurant, let's say there's a fire, let's say something happens at one that when you're back in meeting in person, do you have a backup plan? And many people do right now because everybody's been getting on Zoom. So what is that backup plan if something fails, including service projects? Be able to handle those surprises that come up at the last minute. So it's sort of like a camp in Ryla and Pride. It's making sure we have a nurse there because somebody could fall down and twist their knee, hurt themselves, and they need some care, right? And so who are they going to call? Where are they going to go? What's a backup? If you plan for those surprises, they're less likely to happen. Also begin to learn more about your members, learn about your customers out there. And everyone here is different. We're all different. We've been raised different. We've met different people. We've been through different education. We've had different examples, things happen in life. They shaped us to make us the human being we are today. And so people at different times might not agree with you, but if you begin to ask why they think a certain way, they can explain it to you. And if you truly listen, you'll develop some empathy. I'll give you an example here of empathy that I developed for a member of Dan's Club. I was giving a presentation on human trafficking at Dan's Club not too long ago. And we began to talk about this, and one of his members spoke up and said that she had been trafficked by 3 different gangs and had 3 different gangs tattoos on her body. And I believe it's probably the first time anybody in her club knew that, let alone me. I wanted to reach through the Zoom call and give her a virtual hug. But those kind of things, you have to have empathy and understanding. But that talk with that club let her know that we were going to take on something that was near and dear to her, the scars and trauma that she was carrying today, that Rotary was going to take these problems on, not just making sure we wipe out polio, but we're going to take on a real problem right here in our own district. And thanks for Dan for leading this project coming on. A willingness to learn. Each of us can learn from another. I try to learn something every day. And as you come around people, as you learn things, you could reapply those. And so each person that you deal with out there in the clubs and your committees brings a different expertise than you have. If you're willing to learn from them and listen and put that into effect. Always use positive language. Some people talk about there's certain problems. I look at problems as opportunities. If you'll take the word problem and wipe it out of your vocabulary and turn that into an opportunity, that's what we do as Rotarians. We take situations that are problems and we turn them, just like this year's theme is Rotary Opens Opportunities. We have opportunities out there, and so other people will think they're problems. Rotarians step up and handle those and turn them into an opportunity to make a positive change in their communities. Have patience with people. And I know sometimes that can be difficult if you're in a hurry and you're in a rush, but different people work at different speeds, but each have something to contribute. And being detail oriented is important. Document it, write it down, make your list, and be conscious of detail. And I'll give you an example. And I know we don't have foundation chair on here right now, but for the last several years, the clubs have set a goal when they add them all up together of about 300,000 in annual fund giving, and we've been achieving about 300,000 a year, a little more, a little less. We look at this year on the goal setting side, and the goal the club set was only 116,000, and we've only achieved 95,000. So who looked at those goals on Rotary Club Central and got with their clubs to understand what the clubs set goals? So part of your job here is to help the clubs set their goals so they can achieve at a level that they should be performing at. Make sure that you communicate clearly and try to drop off most of the acronyms and get to simple language. I'm a dumb old country boy, so I like things pretty simple. I can understand. And so make sure you communicated it clearly that people can understand what you mean and can deliver on what you mean. Know what your offering is. So Myra down there is planning her this golf tournament. And so what is that offering? What do they get for that day when they sign up? And so people know ahead of time what they get for that value ahead of time. And just like when people sign up for the district conference, what's going to happen to the district conference? Who's speaking? What's the value added to that? Manage time. People, one of the things that people like with Zoom right now is because they can jump online and get on there really quick. They don't have to spend an hour and a half driving somewhere and an hour and a half back. But make sure you don't waste people's time. So be careful when you have a meeting. It starts on time, it ends on time, and you value people's time. That you have real goals. Dan has set some here that each of you have copies of with his citation requirements for next year. Make sure you know what those are, and focus on goals and delivering goals. Your job here is to work with the clubs and make sure that they're successful. Sometimes you have to be persuasive. Chuck, that might be a little difficult for Chuck, but some people are more persuasive than others. But you can develop some skills here to persuade. You do have to be a bulldog once in a while and have some tenacity. Don't be like Dan's dog and chew his internet cable in half. But you do. I'm sorry?
He's a fighter.
There you go. And you have to be a closer. Close the deal. And so Myra needs to know what's the maximum capacity for foursomes and close the deal. Make sure she delivers on what's been promised. And so on your communication side, why do we have communication? Why do we communicate with people? We might want to change a current behavior that's happening. We might want to get them to take some action for us, to register for a certain event, to give us a call, to show up for a service project. Sometimes it's communicate to get information from somebody and to give information. Some's being persuasive in sums to ensure understanding. So one of the ways to ensure understanding is to ask a question about what you just said and see what the response is. Ask it a different way than what you said, that you get an answer back to see if they understood what you were asking. And then you have to look at what you have to communicate. A lot of what we communicate in Rotary is information. It's a date for a conference. It's an event. What's going to happen at an event? When to show up for a service project? What do you need to bring with you to have the right gloves and clothes and things to work on? You don't show up in a suit if you're doing a painting job. So what's the information you need to know, right? And also sometimes it's emergency information. In case of a fire in our district, or a flood in our district, or some type of event like that, do we have the contact information for people to reach them? Do we have an idea of where our folks, if there's a fire, and we know that there will be other fires in our district? Do we know who's living in those areas? How do we communicate with them? Is there a go-to point to pick up information, reliable information back? If Charles there is communicating with parents, do they know how to, if there's an emergency and their children are at camp, do they know how to get a hold of the camp if they need to let them know that all of a sudden there's a problem in their family that they need to reach out to somebody? Have we shared those numbers with the parents on how to get a hold of somebody? Okay, so who needs your communication as leaders here? Certainly it could be all the club members. If you send out a note on a RILA camp, does that just go to the club president? Does it go to the club president and secretary? Does it go to just the youth chair, youth service chair? Who does that message need to go to make sure you get to the right people who have the answer? And some of these things are board decisions in their clubs. And so they have to make a decision on these ahead of time, and they probably have monthly meetings. And so you have to be out front making sure they get the communication in a timely manner so that they're able to make decisions. Are there other leaders in the club that need the information? Some memos go out, just like our district newsletter goes out to all members in our district. And some things go out to a more select group. Your Dan Goodrich, as your district governor, is going to need some communication from you to know how things are going. He shouldn't have to call you to check on things. You should be upfront and he should know ahead of time from you what's going on in your area. And if you need some help in that area, make sure that we're aware of that. NYRN's the go-to person with the assistant governors. And so they are the lifeline, should be the lifeline, not just for Dan that are representing him out in the district and the clubs, but they should be used for the district leadership team to work with the AGs to get information out to the clubs and receive information back from those select clubs that they represent. So that's part of your network out there to work with, and certainly other members of your district leadership team to work together. So if you're having an event, Myra's having an event, she needs to know that she can get a hold of the PR chair to get something up on the district website if she needs something, or on DACDB to announce it, or how does it go out to the clubs in some of these things. And so who do you need to work with in other areas here to work on these projects? And certainly your own committee members. And so think about your message you're sending out. What's the urgency of it? How long before the event do you need to get the information out to somebody? And how often does communication need to happen? I just mentioned the newsletter, that's monthly. Are there things that need to be mentioned quarterly? If you're a foundation chair, how often do you need to get information out back and forth to the clubs on foundation giving or global grants or district grants? how long before the event should you be advertising the event in order to get people registered for the event and to attend? I know even during COVID, I've got things scheduled out all the way through Dan's year and a lot of things and a lot of other items out there that come up on the calendar with with other conferences around Rotary that I make sure are on the schedule. And so ways to communicate. Certainly it's just like we are right now, verbally speaking. We also, and how we act towards people, whether we're looking them in the eye and really listening, or we're not really focused on what they're doing, or sometimes how we're open, whether we got our arms crossed or we're open, we're receiving the message, or we're holding our position. There's nonverbal cues that you can use. Certainly a visual. Karen likes to say in her newsletter, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But it certainly is. Give an example of something that imprints in somebody's mind of what something looks like. Nyron's got an image there behind him with Planet Life. That's an image holding the earth in your hands there. Dan's got his rotary wheels behind him. That's an image. Myra's got hers for her event behind her. And so that whole picture, once you have it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. And so it sticks in somebody's mind. And so they know exactly what the golf tournament's for and save that date, right? There's certainly written communication and video communication that you can share with people to get something across. And I do mention again, try to avoid acronyms. There's plenty of them out there in Rotary, but we have a lot of new members that probably don't speak up and say, what the heck does RILA stand for? What's pride? What's there's many other acronyms that we sometimes use out there, and it's better for new members if we give them the whole meaning of things, so they understand exactly what things are. Think about how many. I keep hearing that people get too many emails. I try not to even send too many out to my club members. I'm the executive secretary of our club. Today I had 3 I needed to get out that were massive, but I don't know. I have 5 different email addresses I have to check every day, but so I don't understand that people don't think they don't get too many emails. I don't know, probably 50,000 emails right now sitting out there.
I was going to say, Rudy, if I could, I have no sympathy for anybody who tells me they have too many emails at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't. You're not even into your second filing cabinet yet either. So.
No, I could show you. I got a 4-drawer full.
I still got a couple of 4 drawers full. Your house will be full of Rotary, so it's good stuff. I don't have anything. I think it doesn't take long for somebody to check an email and answer you back. And so communication methods, certainly in person. Picking up the phone. People sometimes will send an email when it'd be better right away to pick up the phone and make a personal phone call. And so I encourage you to, once in a while here, don't rely on email or a text message. Pick up the phone, get a hold of somebody, and they will appreciate it more with that. It's nice on Facebook to say happy birthday to your friends on Facebook, but once in a while, pick up the phone and give them a call. It'll make something big in their day, and you might learn something else in this region. Certainly, you can text if you need a quick answer out there, or a short message, email. I got a Twitter account, but I don't really do much on it. Instagram is another way, like Facebook, to begin to promote things. I don't know if our district has an Instagram page, but I know a lot of Rotary clubs do. So it's a way to connect out there on social media and get to a different audience. And certainly the district website. And I know that We're always looking for information to go up on the district website, but sometimes we have to ask for that information. So just to ask the club, send me a photo of your service projects, and I'll put it up on the website. Needs to go a step further. Dan will be visiting the clubs. There's some information he can get back that can go up on the website. Nyron and his team can visit the clubs. They should be visiting the clubs frequently, and have photos that they can get back and work on the PR side. And those things can go up on the district website. Certainly, as you have district events out there, make sure they get up on the district calendar, and make sure that they're in the monthly newsletter, so they get out to everybody. That goes to all the members. So how do you know if the message was received? I believe with the email through DACDB, you can see if people open their emails. That doesn't happen with every email that goes out, but it's one way to track them if you use that. But just because they opened it doesn't mean they read it. So you'll know if the club or the person you sent it to is actually reading it and got the message if they follow the instructions. So if you had a certain date for something to happen and nothing was happening yet, somebody needs to reach out and say, probably pick up the phone and say, hey, we need this by a certain time, and I don't see your name on the list here. Nobody from your club registered for this event, or you don't have any kids coming for Ryler Pride at this time. So that's unusual. What's going on? Some in your messages out, you can ask for an RSVP, and then you'll know ones that don't, we'll need follow up on, and certainly with registrations. As you follow your registrations, you keep track of which clubs have registered and how many people, and you get some idea on registrations. And so why is it important to know if they got the message? Certainly if you're planning for an event, if you're planning a golf tournament with foursomes and you don't get them in, but somebody shows up and you don't have a golf cart for them, a couple of golf carts are probably going to be taking a long walk for that day. If they wouldn't have to walk very fast if they were following me, but it was, they could get more strokes per hole. But you need to plan for events. You need to know how many people are coming. Do they get it? And you need to have the information back by a certain time. That could affect your meal count, the size of the venue that you need, how many rooms, how many tables set up for a dinner. When you're doing contracts, get an idea of what happened before in prior years if you're doing the same event again, to begin planning, but then also have a certain cutoff in time so that you can make sure you don't put yourselves out for financial exposure somewhere by having a contract that's calling for too many participants than what you're going to have. And also in a lot of cases, it might need how many volunteers you need to work there at your event, but you'll know who signs up. And so I had mentioned the difference in goal setting over here with the annual fund this year, the current year we're in. The clubs set a third of the goal level that they had ever in the last 5 years. So somebody needed to check on that and make some phone calls and wonder why. Some clubs probably didn't enter their goals. Some put in too low goals. And so you need to help the clubs look at setting their goals. That rolls up into the district goals. And so, where are they this year? What's the history been when they're setting a goal for next year, for the 21-22 year? And what resources can you use? Hopefully many of you have been on Rotary Club Central. That's a good place on Rotary.org, Rotary Club Central, for clubs to set their goals. That's for membership, foundations, service projects. You can put a lot of information out there on Rotary Club Central. That rolls up into the district goals and is a good way to check on those. And certainly with the AGs, you can check on individual club results. With the variety of things. If it's a four-way test speech competition, it would be nice to know what clubs participated in the past and then see which ones need to participate. You can encourage them to participate in the future, or the music competition. Or are you getting information back from the Interact clubs when we get off COVID here and the schools are open back up and the Interact clubs are coming back online in person? Charles, it'd be nice to know how many of those 90 Interact clubs were back up and running, right? And make sure we know who those contacts are at the club level and at the school level. So it's a good way for us to get information out through those resources. And the same is true on the goal setting on membership. And I know Dan's got a growth in here on his goals here on the membership is to attend the training, district membership training, retain at least 95% of your current memberships, and have a net growth for the year. But the Rotary National president coming in, Shaker Mehta's goal is to had a net 100,000 members to Rotary. By the end of his year, instead of 1.2 that we've been talking about million, he wants to end that year with 1.3 million. And so how do you do that? In order to have 35,000 clubs, we have 35,000 clubs out there. And if we need to have a net gain of 100,000 globally, that's about three new members per club globally net growth. So if you figure in how many that your club loses because they transfer, leave, whatever every year, and you were going to help the Rotary National president meet his goal, which would continue to strengthen membership, not only just in our district, but across North America, it would be nice to figure out how your clubs, each of our clubs out there, have a net growth of more than 3 members. That means maybe you need 6. Maybe you need 4. But each club is going to be a little different. And so when you roll those, what they set in for goals in there from your clubs, that should roll up to see where you are. Right now, I think we have 1,970 members in our district, just under 2,000. When the clubs set their goals before July 1 on membership for next year, what that goal is going to be, we can roll those goals up and see if it's going to get us where we need to go in our district to have positive growth. And if clubs are not entering their goals, you can check and see who you need to call, pick up the phone to make a call, and reach out to them to help them. That's our goal as district leaders here, to reach out and help our clubs be successful. And so you have to know where you're going in order to, when you set your goals, you got to set a goal out there as where you're going. What's your vision? And then each club has to have within it consensus that they can achieve that goal. There has to be buy-in within the club. And if you have a goal here as a leader that you're trying to have a goal for a number of students at a camp, then you need support from the clubs. You need buy-in. If you know how many foursomes you'd like to have in your golf tournament, what's that buy-in out there to get this done? Each of the district leaders here needs to know the governor's citation requirements, and through the AGs, through your leadership, you need to help the clubs become successful. And all of our goals here as district leaders are to make our clubs as successful as they can possibly be. That's our goal. And we work for the clubs. And so it's our goal to make sure that the clubs are successful and that they meet those requirements. So all 63 or 4 clubs here can receive the district governor's citation at the end of in June of 2022. And also the same way is to know what the RI president's citation requirements are, because it'd be certainly nice for 60 some Rotary clubs to receive a citation from Shekhar Mehta, our Rotary National President, next year. Make sure that when your clubs are setting goals, help them have SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. If a club right now has 50 members and they tell you they're going to have 75 by the end of next year, but they've only been adding one, losing one, adding one, losing one, what's going to be different that's going to allow them a realistic number out there that they can achieve? Maybe there's a new housing development just opened up that could impact there. Maybe there's some new businesses in there that are going to help, but need to think about what that is. And then make sure that those goals are set on time, because it has to be achieved in the 21-22 Rotary year. And then what steps have they planned out how to achieve it? What steps do they need to get there? Who's going to be responsible on your teams, your leadership team? Who's going to be responsible to get the information out for the four-way test speech competition or the music competition? Who's responsible to find the location for it? When's it going to happen? What's the cost? A variety of things out there. Who's going to be those responsible people? What materials are needed to get something done? When does this start and when does it finish for each item? What tools? How are you doing? Occasionally you got to check on yourself and say, how am I doing? And so if I'm worried, I'm working on membership growth, I don't wait till June of 2022 to figure out whether I'm gaining or losing members. I need to be checking that number as the leader of that, as the membership chair for the district, at least monthly, probably more often than that, and see which clubs are gaining and losing and who needs help out there. So you can send the help team out that would give them support. And then if we're off target, how do we adjust the plan? What do we need to do to fix the plan if we're way off target? And then of course, when your teams all achieve success out there, have a big celebration and make sure that this is fun for everybody along the way. People like to enjoy themselves. They like to have celebrations at the end, and we'll be able to be face to face when everybody gets their immunizations here. And we're coming back out of COVID-19, and let's carefully get back together and have fun together and be able to meet each other face to face again. An elbow bump or whatever we have to do, but we're going to be we'll change. Some things will change. It'll be different. But then think up some crazy awards to give out. They don't have to be a plaque. They can be some crazy things out there that you dream up some award for somebody that's kind of a recognition. And it could be the class clown, or it could be a variety of things out there that you'd give that would be memorable awards for them for this. I'm going to stop sharing here. So those are kind of working through some ideas. I want you to think of yourself as business leaders, which you all are, and Rotary is your business. And this is our district. And we've got to support over 60 Rotary clubs and nearly 2,000 Rotarians out there to make them be the most successful they can be, to help more people than they helped before, to change a life and save a life out there. To find that person at one of our camps who's ready to hurt themselves or commit suicide, and be the person that talks to them at that moment in time that changes their life and saves their life. And we've had those life-changing experiences at Ryland Pride before. And so those can happen. They're real. And that's the power you have. Carolyn's going to make sure that all the secretaries out there do the right thing and get people's information entered for new members, and that the secretaries are trained properly, that they know what to do, and she's the go-to person when they need help. And the answer woman that helps the clubs out in in that arena. And I know it's sort of like one of the goals here is to make sure that the clubs have picked their teams for the following year, for Don's year, in December. Make sure that happens in there ahead of time. Make sure right now that all the clubs have their leadership teams posted on DACDB as well as the Rotary.org site, My Rotary. We just got an email today. All the clubs have secretaries out there to make sure that you have your club leadership teams up to date online so that they can communicate, send out the proper communications from Rotary. Our district right now has 46% of our members are on My Rotary. Only 46% of the members of those 2,000 members have signed into Rotary.org and set up their own My Rotary account. My Rotary account helps them in a variety of ways. One is to connect online and make their donations to the annual fund or Polio Plus to the Rotary Foundation. If they're not on My Rotary, it's pretty tough to set goals on Rotary Club Central. There's a whole slew of learning literacy programs and training programs online. It's a huge amount of stuff. There's great videos they can use for their clubs, logos. It's just a wealth of information at Rotary.org they can use. And so, Nyron, with your teams out there, when you get out with your assistant governors, they need to be helping ask some of these questions. There's one club that's 100%. I think it's Temecula New Gen. My club's in the 70%. But we've had a lot of challenges yet to get people up to speed on that in this arena. And I think another opportunity we have for membership growth ought to be increasing the number of women in Rotary. When we have between 35 and 40% of those 2,000 members in our district are women, we've missed the boat, guys. All together here, we need to get up and be ahead of the game here. I think there's at least the same amount of women in the world as men, probably a few more. And so and our communities are the same way. And so each of us out there in support, our club should look like our community we exist in. And so those are kind of some things working together. When you get ready for your presentations that start next week for district assembly here over the next dozen days or so, make sure that, I know Marilyn sent out a note today, make sure everybody's got their PowerPoints sent to Marilyn and myself. We'll be using the same Zoom link for all those trainings. And that's make sure that Sarah, we'll be checking, Marilyn, we can start checking and see how many clubs have registered for each of these classes and kind of get ahead of the curve on this. And we're missing a few, then let's reach out to the clubs who don't have people registered and get them registered. There is no cost for this, so they should pack the house. And we had great success with it last year, and let's knock out of the park again this year. Questions for me, comments? You can unmute yourself. It's okay. There you go.
Not really. It's just good old-fashioned management common sense, I think, and engagement.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to connect early on, and we have a separate AG training coming up here in April too, with the AGs. Go through that, and so part of that is for you to be able to connect with your AG team, and they understand what their roles and responsibilities are, and help deliver on that. Dan, any special words?
I think Ricardo, you want to say something?
Yeah, I've noticed that in the last few years, and maybe forever, we have not had robust use of the goal setting, and maybe you mentioned this before I tuned in. I'm a little late because Marilyn told me not to come. And because she was going to just give me a summary afterwards, right?
I knew I liked Marilyn.
But I remember when I was president 8 years ago, that was a lot of fun. I used it. I thought it was very well done. And that's probably not long after they offered that, but working with our next year's president in my club, we went through that, and it's there, and it's a lot of fun. And, Rotary tracks a lot of the actual results for you, right? So, but at least when I was going around talking to clubs as governor, and then after Melanie, I got the impression that it is not something that's widely used. Am I wrong?
It's not widely participated in, for sure.
Yeah.
So let me jump in a little bit. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a numbers guy. So goals are very important to me. Our AGs are going to find that I'm going to be looking to find out who doesn't have goals as well. And those conversations are going to come through the AG system to ensure that clubs that need help to enter them goals are actually entered. Because I have, as past district governors here know, I have to set goals for the district. And those goals are sometimes, I have one goal, I guess, in particular that's being questioned by the zone as being not aggressive enough, because we're trying to get 100,000 members, okay? But at the end of the day, I'm trying to set a realistic goal based on historical numbers and then raising it a little, pushing it. But when you look at historical trends and averages, we're here, and I'm asking it to be here. And I feel comfortable doing that because I can always go like this, right? So I would really much appreciate everyone's support in helping our club set goals, because that's service goals are going to be important for me. I want to see the number of hours, community service hours. We're going to have a number of projects. You all did receive my governor citation requirements. There will be things that come up during the year that are going to be popped in there, I'm sure. But I wanted to make it flexible enough for clubs to be able to attain them. The idea is to recognize, thank, and reward. Now, I do believe that we do an awful lot as Rotarians in our district, and it's incredible the amount of work we do. With that being said, right now we have an engagement problem. And it's not really our fault as much as that some of our clubs just haven't really embraced the whole pandemic thing and done things and adapted to it. And it shows in some of our numbers. It's there, it's clear on paper. So yes, we're moving out of a pandemic and vaccines are incorporating and things are starting to open back up, and hopefully that progression continues and our Rotary clubs will be back in full swing before too long, and we'll all be happy Rotarians again. But these are some of the challenges that I think we face. And as a leadership team, we tell our clubs that the district is a resource for the clubs. So if this was a company, I'm the CEO and you're the leadership team. So if you need help and you need resources, please ask. I'll either help you myself or I'll put you in touch with the people who will. Because together we glue and together we make the difference. The people on this call have been around for a long time. They've been involved in many different aspects, with the exception of maybe Myra, who is our new gal on the block, but very eager, and she might need some help. So we're going to embrace Myra. Okay, we're going to cuddle her a little bit, and reel her in and help her out. That's what we do. We are in the business of developing leaders, and we are in the business of making a difference. And I love our theme. We're change makers. So I applaud you for doing what you do. I know each of you pretty personally, and I know what you've done. And I can't thank you enough. That whole return, why we return thing, I look at the screen and I go, well, I know why Rudy returns, and I know why, I know why everybody returns. But it's great to see that we all have the same bloodline. And so I can't thank you enough. I really can't. I'm excited and I'm eager, and I know that we have some work to do, but I know we'll get it done. That's about what I got to say. I want to thank Rudy and Marilyn for putting this on, if no one else has any other comments. And I was looking at the numbers, Rudy, just so you know, because I'm a DAC-DB guy as well. And community service has 58 people signed up out of 100 possible in the room. Currently, the grants management seminar has 53. International service, Ricardo, has 45. Membership has 53. Brand management has 53. Secretaries, Carolyn, have 36. Rotary Foundation has 55. The treasurer has 45. Vocational service, Chuck, has 47. Youth protection has 46. And youth service, Charles, has 54. So that's not even half the room.
Yeah, so we got space. I know we've got, our club has probably the highest percentage registered at this moment. But we got some new folks out there in new leadership positions, and they need to learn more about these positions. So we're excited to share this with them, and they're excited to jump on. We've got some new positions, and Dan, our incoming president, David Wick, is we got a meeting on this coming Monday night working on goal setting. So we'll be locking in some goals. He's very forward thinking, so he's a driver, so it's going to be good. And Nyron and Dan, as you reach out to the clubs, for those that haven't set goals, I can help them with strategic planning. Any help you want from me, give me a call. I'll help make sure they develop those goals and realistic goals, and get them timely, and look back on their history of what they've done in the past and help them push themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I have another comment, and I've got to be careful that it's received in the spirit intended. I look at our membership out of habit, almost not quite daily, but it's so easy to open it up. I looked at it a little while ago. And when we talk about our performance and say, but we're second in the whole zone, or we're third, and that's certainly one way of visualizing things. I looked at our membership, and that we have 62 clubs. 45 of our 62 clubs are either at zero growth or negative. Of those 45, 30 are negative. Half of our clubs have lost members. If we did not have the new club in Eastvale, which was a holdover from Melanie's year, we held it over and put it into this year. I know, because I did it. So it was put in the first week of July. If we had not had that, we would not be second or third in the zone. Numbers have a funny way of lulling you into complacency. Right now, we're showing that we have a slight gain of members, 6, but we had 26 of additions due to a new club. Without those, you'd be at minus 20, and that's, God forbid, before we have the June 30th midnight massacre that happens every year. So I don't know what this message really, I just think that we need to pay a lot more attention, especially coming into the next year where the RI president has said we got to gain a big number because we want to go up to 1.3 million net. I mean, we need to go to 1.3 million, which is 100,000 gain net, as you mentioned. For our district, you know, membership growth is going to take a lot of work. And I would submit that if the club presidents don't assign a high priority and keep reminding the club about it periodically, as Chuck used to say when we were working together on membership, you know, it's tough for it to happen by itself. It just doesn't happen automatically. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Our club is up 18 members this year, and we're about to add 2 more on.
Well, yours, you see, and if you didn't have that, you look at the other 61 clubs.
Yep. So.
Yes, sir, Chuck.
I would just kind of like to mention something, Ricardo, and I was saying it before you came on. COVID really is kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to membership. Rotary wants to get younger members, and it's a football fumble that could turn out to be a ballet move. The younger members don't have the time to drive to or from a meeting. They don't want to spend the money on a meal. They want to give back to the community. What a great opportunity. We need to come up with something where we can go ahead and address younger members and get them involved in community service in Rotary, because as Marilyn said, we need the hybrid meeting. The hybrid meeting needs to be perfected. It absolutely needs to be perfected, because you're going to have the old timers who want to be there physically. You're going to have some of the young people who would like to make it once a month or once every 2 months physically, but they want to be at every meeting via Zoom. We need to focus on that as a growth model for our district to really go after younger members, because that is what we're going to have to do and we're going to need. And that hybrid model is going to be the meeting of the future. Absolutely.
Well,
I agree with you, Chuck.
and part of
I
that
agree
is
with you.
they have to reinvent themselves at the club level and understand what that means. They
Totally.
can't go
Rudy.
back to the old way and charge everybody for lunch or breakfast or whatever when they're only going to show up online. So they have to look at their structure and make the necessary changes to make it effective. I mean, we have I think 3 or 4 young women just came into the club here in this year, and one had a baby just about a few weeks ago, and so it's she hops online. She's got a 3-year-old and a newborn on the meeting, so that makes it fun. So, Marilyn or Charles?
Charles, go first. He had his hands up.
Oh, thank you, Marilyn. You know, I've noticed where working with the youth and stuff like this, number one thing that they have problems with is, what do I do? You know, they want something to do, you know, not all the time, but majority of the time when they're there, what do I do? You have to be able to give them something to attract to them that they can be doing at most of the time.
So very important.
And-
Totally right.
Yeah, and it's just like point blank, you know, I deal with a lot of kids and I give them at my shop here, that's like their home away from home. When they come here, Mr. Charlie, what can we do? Can we clean your shop? Can we do this? Can we do that? You know, they're looking for something to do, to be a part of it.
You know, I've been thinking
Engagement.
about membership for the last several weeks, particularly because I spoke at one of our legacy clubs meetings about membership, and it was a bit discouraging. I don't know that they took I don't know if they have the will, I don't know if they want to make a plan, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to make a suggestion. And that is maybe Dan can put together a couple of strike force teams, one in half the district, another one in the other half of the district, and make that available to the clubs so that if they are interested, they have specific people to call on and not everybody's just calling the membership chair. If you had included in that strike force people who know how to set up hybrid meetings, people who know how to make suggestions about what do youth want besides Twitter and Instagram and all of that, because they want a lot of other things. And if you brainstormed about what the needs of the clubs are, and then you had a team that they could call on, whether it's on Zoom, in person, do they want a strategic plan? Do they even know what that is? And is it available? Then I think we could gain membership. I think clubs are just stuck and don't know what to do, and maybe they don't have energy. So we could bring batteries and electrodes and energize them. That was a funny thing. You guys didn't think I meant that, did you? That was kind of.
I laughed.
You know, we every year we hear more, we keep talking about membership. And I'm sometimes scared that we give the message that we're going out of business if we don't run out and bring in some more members, which is not the truth. But so the message is we need to make sure that there's value added. There's a value on why for you to join Rotary and serve our community. You know, what is that value that you bring in with your expertise, and why you're going to be important to our club and you're going to be important to the community. Here's the kind of projects we work on. So I want us to be careful that we don't act like we're going out of business, because, you know, I mean, we just can't. It's the wrong message. And so everybody has a value, and you need to find the value in them, and then energize them and value their experience and use them. Personal opinion. Anyways, we probably kicked this horse enough tonight. Dan, thanks for letting us put this on. We look forward to the next 12 or 13 classes going on out there, and let's knock it out of the park, folks.
Thank you, Rudy. This was awesome.
Thank you so
Rock and
much.
roll.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Rudy.
Are
Thank
you
you,
gonna
Rudy.
share your video?
Thank you, Marilyn.
You
Yes,
recorded
yes,
it?
have I recorded this? So I'll send you the link to it.
No, Marilyn, you can brief me.
What? You want me to do what?
Yeah, you're briefed.
Don't tell them.
Wait a minute. Excuse me. I would like to say one thing. The
Yes.
word brief and Ricardo don't go in the same sentence.
Okay.
Sorry.
But the word brief and Maryland